Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. And of course, I'm your host, John June. And of course, on this lovely Saturday morning, a little wet, but we manage. Got my guy, Greg Penniman. Greg, what's good, man?
What's going on? Yeah, it seems to be, those football games last week that were super rainy. Just came to the east side. But yeah, I'm excited for week 8. To continue in week 8. The start of week 8 was excellent. Let's hope we can get, some good momentum going into the weekend.
Yeah, man, you referenced the start of week 8, and so we got a Thursday night football game to break down. And it was a very interesting game we had, man, as the Green Bay Packers take on the previously undefeated Arizona Cardinals, ending that win streak that they had, the start to the undefeated season, winning the game here by a score of 24-21, and probably what was one of the wildest endings I had seen in a game in a long time. With about, I guess there was 12 seconds on the clock, I think, when they snapped the ball there on that last play. Kyler Murray was limping around, comes to the line of scrimmage. They could easily kick the game-tying field goal there and go to overtime, but they try to run one more play, put it in the end zone, and there must have been some kind of miscommunication or something.
Yeah.
Because Kyler just throws the ball up in the back right corner of the end zone, and the DB saw it. Rasul Douglas saw it. AJ Green had no idea that ball was coming, and Rasul Douglas, one hand taps it to himself, keeps his feet in bounds, and that was the game pretty much. And it was just funny because that entire drive, that drive started on the Arizona 1-yard line or inside the Arizona 1-yard line, and they were able to drive that ball all the way down. The defense was reeling. You could see Aaron Rodgers freaking out on the sideline.
Reactions to every play.
And all of a sudden, the game's over just like that. But Greg, what were your thoughts on the game and any Thursday night takeaways for the people?
Yeah, again, very solid game. Aaron Rodgers now 7-0 in that last 7 games without Devontae Adams, which is very impressive. I just like the game plan here. It was just mostly running the ball and getting it to Aaron Jones and receiving. When we knew that Aaron Jones was going to be the leading receiver, he was, and was able to get AJ Dillon involved, get him 16 carries, and Aaron Jones. So I like the game plan from the running backs.
Yeah, that was kind of what we had speculated, right? Is that you're going to see Aaron Jones used as a receiver, which would free up some opportunities potentially for AJ Dillon to try to keep him fresh there. These running back, AJ Dillon had 16 carries, Aaron Jones had 15. Also combine that with 11 targets there for Aaron Jones, which he turned into 7 receptions for 51 yards. And you know what they were saying on the broadcast? I think Joe Buck was like, "Oh, this guy's not Alvin Kamara," but we've been saying it for a minute, man. Since last year, this dude is about as close as you can get to the Alvin Kamaras, the Christian McCaffreys of the world. He had that play, they just missed it, where he's lined up out wide, runs the deep go route, and Aaron Rodgers trusts him enough to throw that ball, which you typically wouldn't throw to a running back in that situation. But definitely gotta love that. In terms of takeaways, I guess it's more really just a concern, right? Because Kyler Murray got hurt, and it's different than when somebody gets hurt on Sunday, because on Sunday you hear about it, about it, and then they can't hide from it that following Monday or Tuesday. They've got to answer. Well, Kyler and the Cardinals are going to go into hiding for the next 5 days now, and we're not going to know anything about Kyler's ankle until Tuesday. And obviously we know it could limit him, the type of player that he is. And we saw him injured last year and take away some of that rushing. And it just doesn't take away the rushing. It takes away the rushing. It takes away some of the, the second-hand plays that he makes. Some of the throwing on the run that they do. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. So I'm concerned about, I'm sure he'll be okay, but just in the short term, like, what does that mean for Kyler and his fantasy production?
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. And for D-Hop as well, I mean, if he dealt with that hamstring, was able to make one excellent play, got 2 receptions, but that hamstring did tighten up on him. He tried to come back in the game, came back out again. So their 2 best players are dealing with some key injuries right now.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Any other takeaways for you here, Greg?
No, I mean, continuing. I like their running game for the Cardinals as well, able to get into the end zone. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, not much else to take away from this, except I texted you this. When Chase Edmonds went out with that injury, Rondale Moore took the very next snap at running back. So
they were just trying to give James Conner some water, that's all.
I'm just saying. He's got a little bit more upside than just your typical wide receiver 4,
I love it. I'm keeping it in my keeper leagues and dynasty leagues. This man's gonna be a beast, but
Let's move on to the football that has yet to be played, right? So we covered the 1 p.m. games already. So if you want to catch that, you got to go back to episode 210, hit those 1 p.m. games. But this is all about these 4 p.m. games, the primetime games, and starts of the week. Also, can't forget about some get money. So let's jump right into it, man. Let's jump into the action. We got the 1-5 Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Seattle to take on the 2-5 Seattle Seahawks. Is a 43.5 point total. The Seahawks are 3.5 point favorites. This game takes place Sunday, 4:05 p.m. In terms of injuries, for Jacksonville, AJ Cann, the guard, ends up on injured reserve with a knee injury. Defensive tackle Jay Tufele ends up on IR with a hand. On the Seattle side, Alex Collins questionable with the groin. And then some interesting news came out of the came out of Seattle regarding 2 players that are currently on the IR. First one is Chris Carson, who's dealing with a neck injury on injured reserve. Pete Carroll said it's possible that he could potentially be out for the rest of the year. So that's definitely something to take note of, especially from Pete Carroll. Because knowing him, he said he'd be back like next week.
Yeah.
So definitely be mindful of that. Wish Chris Carson all the best, but don't think he's going to make it back to your fantasy lineup. Somebody had messaged me over the weekend asking me, hey, Chris Carson's out on waivers. Should I pick him up? I said I wouldn't burn any waiver priority for him, but you could add him, and this was kind of the reason, because we don't know his status for the rest of the year. The other news is Russell Wilson, who's dealing with that broken middle finger. He had the pin removed, or he's scheduled to have the pin removed, and he's ahead of schedule, which I actually kind of believe that Russell Wilson is ahead of schedule. He's fighting and clawing and scratching to do everything he can to not have to do imaginary 2-minute drills before the game. So I think he's trying to get out there. But in terms of the game here, I'm going to take the under, going to take Seattle to cover, going to take Seattle to win here. In terms of the fantasy matchups, I'm going to take James Robinson as he's an RB1 for me this week. But I'm not really in love with the rest of the Jacksonville side. I know the matchup looks great, but Jacksonville hasn't been good. So maybe you could start Marvin Jones, as a wide receiver, but I think that we could probably go elsewhere potentially this week. I think Dan Arnold is streamable tight end in this matchup, just because of the nature of tight end and the volume of targets he can see and how bad Seattle is against tight ends. But on the Seattle side, I think it's just Alex Collins and DK Metcalf for me. I think those are the only pieces I really want to trust. I really want to attach myself to in this offense. But Greg, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm like pretty much on the other side. I got the over. I got Jacksonville covering. I got Jacksonville winning this game. Don't really think Seattle's any good without Russell Wilson. So in this game, actually on Jacksonville side, I do like some players on this side. I think Trevor Lawrence is a QB2 option. Borderline streaming. I mean, he came off probably his best game, solid game before the bye. Over 300 passing yards. They're now after the bye, so they got to work on some stuff. James Robinson, definitely agree. Prime top 5 play here. Seattle's not very good against running backs, giving up about 110 yards per game. Love Marvin Jones actually in this matchup. I think he's a solid wide receiver too. And Vishka, I think he's in that flex conversation. He did get T10 targets in that London game. He's got over 7 receptions in 3 games already this year, so he's definitely in play for PPR leagues. And on Seattle side, yeah, I agree. It's Alex Collins and DK. There's really no reason to play anyone else on the Seattle offense. But yeah, I think Jacksonville gets it done.
Yeah, definitely. And even DK is tough, man, because if he doesn't catch that 80-yard touchdown last week, his stat line is nothing. So
yeah, he's definitely, you're not putting him outside top 30, but it's not, you're not happy about.
Yeah, no, he's like we've been saying, man. He's a wide receiver 2. Has weekly wide receiver 1 upside just because he's a freak.
Yep.
But outside of that, I'm not clamoring to again attach myself to Geno Smith. So all right, let's move on to this next game, man. We got the also 4 or 5 p.m. the 3-4 New England Patriots traveling to LA to take on the 4-2 LA Chargers. This is a 48.5 point total. The Chargers are 5.5 point favorites here. In terms of the injuries, linebacker Brandon King for New England is out. And for the Chargers side, we had something, a little, it's Halloween time, but this is a little too scary for me. Austin Eckler, questionable with some hip soreness, popped up on the injury report late on Wednesday. So the injury had to happen sometime between Wednesday's practice and Thursday's practice. And so, that's never good when you get a midweek downgrade. But Brandon Staley has seemed, he sounded somewhat optimistic, saying that, Eckler was just dealing with some soreness, and that, he's feeling much better today than he did the day before. And I say today, I mean Friday versus compared to Thursday. And so, definitely something to monitor there for Austin Eckler. But I do have a feeling that he plays. I mean, you look at the Chargers, you look at how they've handled injuries all the way back to training camp. They hold guys out. They don't make guys play in games, even though, if they might mean meaningless. And we saw Eckler be a late week downgrade, earlier in the season. I think it was week 1. He was a late week downgrade and still play that game after missing practices. So I think Eckler plays, but Greg, what say you on the Charger side, or just on the game in general?
I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna take New England to cover, but I'm gonna take LA Chargers to win. On the Charger side, it's interesting. I'm trying to think about who Belichick probably wants to take away the most. I mean, Eckler's banged up. I mean, I do think Eckler's gonna play. I like him as a play. I think he wants to take away more of the big plays like Mike Williams and stuff like that. So, Herbert, I still think he's a low in QB1 in this matchup. Eckler, again, I like him as an RB1, low in RB1. I think this is I think this is the Keenan Allen game. I think this is it. Just because of what Belichick probably wants to take away in the big plays. I think Keenan Allen's going to eat up a lot of receptions. And on the Jared Cook is also a low in tight end 1 play. He's just been pretty solid for you throughout the last couple of weeks. On the New England side, Matt Jones has been playing better. I'm not ready to, start him yet for all formats. He's still in that 2 QB conversation, 2 quarterback league. Really on New England is Damian Harris for me. He's got a good matchup here against the Chargers, who they're really good in the passing game, so they like to funnel all their points to the running game. So I think Damian Harris is probably the main guy for me here.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over here. I'm going to take the Chargers to cover. I'm going to take the Chargers to win. If Eckler can play, I think he's actually in a phenomenal spot here. If he doesn't, I'm not really sure who the true backup is. We've seen all 3 of these guys get work. Larry Roundtree, Justin Jackson, and now even Joshua Kelly. Justin Jackson's probably the closest in terms of skill set to Eckler. but we haven't seen him play or play much. So what's the thought that they're just going to hand him all this work after not giving him any? So maybe it goes to a committee. I'm not entirely sure, but who knows? Maybe it's worth having one of these guys on your roster, on your bench, like around 4:00, just in case this is a longer term injury, or and you have a 33% chance of getting it right with one of these running backs. So that'd probably be worth it. If he does play, I'm in. If he doesn't play, I'm probably gonna stash one of these guys and not really look to play anyone. But Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, I think they're also in good spots. I agree with your sentiment. I think Belichick wants to take something away. He's got to take away that deep passing game. And so you're calling your shot here with the Keenan Allen game. I love it. Every time I've done it, it's not come to fruition. So
I know.
I wish you better luck than me, sir.
Appreciate it.
But I think Herbert exacts revenge here. I don't know if we quite remember last year, the Patriots gave the Chargers a beating. They made Herbert look normal and human and mortal, I should say. But I think that he can get his revenge this year against the New England Patriots. On the New England Patriots side, I think Damian Harris in another really good spot this week against the LA Chargers. And then we got a Hunter Henry revenge game.
True. You're right. That's right.
Game. Also in a great spot as well.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna call a shot too. I think we get the Jacoby Myers touchdown.
Oh man, yo. I hope so, man. It's been how many years? Like 3 years now. 2.5. Yeah. We'll see. He got that 2-point conversion, so he's close. He's tasted.
Yeah, right. He knows what the end zone tastes like, right? So, let's move on to this next matchup, though. Sunday, 4:25 p.m. We've got the 2-5 Washington football team traveling to Denver to take on the 3-4 Denver Broncos. 43.5 point total. Broncos are 3-point favorites. There is some rain expected in this game, so be mindful of that. Again, nothing crazy from a weather perspective in terms of heavy rain and wind that we need to be concerned about, but just be mindful. It will be raining. On the Denver side, in terms of the injuries, Jerry Jeudy, he's on injured reserve. He's set to return. He was practicing this week, sat out practice Friday after dealing with some soreness, earlier in the week, from practicing earlier in the week. So got to be mindful of that, see if he plays and monitor that situation. Von Miller, he's questionable with an ankle. Defensive tackle Mike Purcell, he's out. On the Washington side, wide receivers, Diami Brown, knee, Curtis Samuel, groin, are both out. Cam Sims is questionable with a hamstring. And then offensive tackle Sam Cosmi is also out. In terms of the game here, I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take Denver to cover, Denver to win. In terms of the fantasy side, Teddy Bridgewater, your stream of the week. He's a QB1 in my opinion. Like the matchup here for the Denver Broncos as well. I am going to be going with Javonte. I feel like I go with Javonte every week, but I don't know. I've got a feeling. I'm going with it. So Javonte will be the guy I lean towards in that backfield this week. Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant, they led the way in terms of receiving, and I think they're ones at their positions. If Jerry Jeudy plays, the matchup is so good, and Jerry Jeudy looks so good in week 1, I'm going to throw him out there. But I would not expect a whole lot in his first game back. But on the Washington side, did y'all notice when I was reading off the injury report that I did not mention Antonio Gibson?
No, yes, sir. You're right. He's off of it.
He seems like he's healthy. The matchup here is really good too, so I would be in to fire him up. Taylor Heineke, he's in a tough spot this week, as is wide receiver Terry McLaurin, who actually he was removed from the injury report, but was dealing with an ankle injury. He was dealing with the ankle injury that he picked up while dealing with a hamstring injury last week. So Terry's banged up. So be mindful of how that impacts Terry. He's been banged up at different points throughout his career, and it's affected his production. So just be mindful of that. And then I think with all these injuries in the pass game, I think Ricky Seals-Jones continues to be targeted heavily. So, Greg, where are you at with this matchup, man?
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I got the over, have the Denver Broncos covering and the Denver Broncos winning. Yeah, on the Denver side, I do like pretty much a lot of these offensive pieces because Washington's defense has been very bad. Teddy B, again, my stream of the week. The running backs, they're both low in RB2s for me. Yeah, hoping Javonte just starts to continue to, to gain some momentum as we get down the stretch. And as a receiver, I like all three of them if they can play. If Judy comes back in, Tim Patrick does slide down to more of a wide receiver 4, but Sutton and Judy, if they're able to play, I think they're both good, strong wide receiver 2 plays. On Washington, yeah, Heineke, I'm not really trying to force here if you can. I'm really only trusting AJ Gibson and Terry McLaurin, and JD McKissick seems to always find some value in here in games, especially if it's competitive. But yes, it's Halloween. Terry McLaurin's got a ball out.
He's got to, man. Scary Terry. Let's move on to this next matchup, man. 4:25 p.m. The 6-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to New Orleans to take on the 4-2 New Orleans Saints. 49.5-point total here. The Bucs are 5-point favorites. In terms of the game here, this game has been a dome, so no worry about the weather. But in terms of injuries on the New Orleans side, oh man, Andrews Pete, offensive lineman, he's out. Dwayne Washington, running back, out. Peyton Turner, defensive end, out. Taysom Hill, quarterback, tight end, flex guy, Sean Payton's favorite buddy, out with a concussion. Deontay Harris, questionable with a hamstring. On the Tampa Bay side, Antonio Brown is out with an ankle. Gronk is questionable with those ribs injuries. JPP questionable with a shoulder and a hand. Levante David seems to be making his way back from that ankle injury. He's questionable. And then Richard Sherman, who was dealing with a hamstring, he's questionable with that hamstring. Greg, where are you at?
I'm going to take the under. I'm taking Tampa Bay to cover. I'm taking Tampa Bay to win. This is two, revenge games for. I mean, they did get them in the playoffs, but during the regular season, the Saints did pretty much handle the Bucs both times. So on the Bucs side, I love Tom Brady in this matchup. I think he does go off in the dome. Just no matter who you throw out there as receiver, he's going to find a way. Leonard Fournette is a low in RB1, strong RB2. The last couple of weeks, you're continuing to play him, even in the tough matchup against his rush defense. The receivers, I'm hoping Gronk can come back. He's able to be back at practice, which is great news. So if he's out there, I think you should fire him up, especially without any AB. There'll be targets definitely in this passing game. And then both Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, both strong wide receiver 2s. One of them's got wide receiver 1 upside with some touchdowns, but they both got a great target share. Also, it's got a lot of good touchdown production. On the Saints side, James Wilson is in a good spot with a good matchup. He's going to have to put up points here as well to keep pace with the Bucs. So I do have him in some streaming conversation here, and Alvin Kamara is going to be his main guy who's going to get it too. So that's all I really care for to play as far as the skill players.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to take the over here. I'm going to take New Orleans to cover, but I'm going to take Tampa Bay to win. I think on the New Orleans side, Alvin Kamara should eat this week against the Bucs. I mean, if there's one way for your running backs to get production against the Bucs, it's through receiving. That's Alvin Kamara's specialty. So I expect him to eat up this week. The Bucs have been playing well against quarterbacks recently. How did you forget the Jameis Winston revenge game narrative?
The Jameis Winston revenge game. That's true, because it's been so far removed, but he's here.
Yeah, right. He's here. So they've been playing well against quarterbacks recently, and I know it's a nice story with Jameis this week, but it does come with some risk. So be mindful of that. I wouldn't go, diving both feet in with Jameis Winston this week as a stream option. Tom Brady though continues to be a QB1. Leonard Fournette, man, last 3 games, he's the RB5 in PPR points per game. The dude he's been awesome. So I, continue to fire him up as an RB1. Mike Evans, faces his nemesis and Marshawn
Marshawn
Lattimore.
Yes, sir. Definitely gonna be a
But
fight.
he and Godwin get this bump with AB out, and Evans could always catch 2 balls for 2 touchdowns and make his day. So definitely going to play him. But other than that, I think it's going to be a good game. Should be some back and forth to it. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, for
Moving
sure.
on to Sunday night football, though.
Ooh.
We've got the 5-1 Dallas Cowboys traveling to Minnesota to take on the 3-3 Minnesota Vikings. This game's at Sunday at 8:20 p.m. 55-point total. I don't know. Actually, I gotta check to see if the total.
It's 52 now, actually. Yeah, it's
52-point total. Yeah. The Dallas Cowboys were 2.5-point favorites. That line has since shifted.
Crazy.
To
full shift.
3 points in the Minnesota Vikings' favor.
Full tilt.
So, catch that. We got a game that dropped from 55 to 52, and the Cowboys went from being 2.5-point favorites to 3-point underdogs.
Crazy.
That's a 4.5-point swing, 5.5-point swing. So, something's going on. Just be mindful of it. Game is in a dome. Dak Prescott, who's dealing with that calf, is probably what's going on. We've heard competing stories out of Dallas's camp that Mike McCarthy sounds pessimistic as to whether Dak Prescott would be available this week. Jerry Jones is taking a page out of Pete Carroll's book. Tends to be optimistic.
In his own book, Jerry Jones' own book.
Dak Prescott, thinking Dak Prescott has an opportunity to play. The fact that this is a conversation coming out of the bye the Friday before the game makes me
it was a huge story. Yeah, it's good
to believe that this guy is going to play. And Vegas tends to they don't think he's going to play. So Cooper Rush, be prepared, and everyone be prepared for Cooper Rush. But continuing on the injury front for Dallas, Michael Gallup, who could return from IR with that calf injury, seems like he's not going to make the trip to Minnesota. They're going to give him 1 more week potentially. Tyron Smith, left tackle, he's questionable. Maurice Kennedy, he was added to IR with a concussion. Brent Urban was added to IR with a triceps injury. On the Minnesota side, Michael Pierce, he's out with an elbow. Patrick Jones, he's doubtful. And then Ben Ellefson, tight end, he went to IR with a knee and a foot injury. In terms of the game here, I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take Minnesota to cover, which is crazy because I took Minnesota to cover at 2.5 when they were 2.5-point dogs. So I'm taking Minnesota to cover, Minnesota to win here. In terms of the game, I'm taking Zeke Elliott as an RB1 for sure. Just given the volume and the touchdown opportunity that he's going to have. Dak Prescott, if he does play, he's not only dealing with that calf, but also has to deal with this tough Minnesota defense that has played much, much better in recent weeks than we've seen them play over the last 2 years. Being a top 3 team against the quarterback position in terms of fantasy points per game over that time span. So I think all the passing weapons are going to downgrade for me, whether Dak plays or not. And on the Minnesota side, I like the entire Minnesota offense. I know this Dallas defense has been good, but they have still been allowing yards. They've still been allowing points. They just force turnovers, and they get a lot of big plays on that side of the ball. So I will continue to roll out Kirk Cousins. I love Justin Jefferson this week. I'm very much into Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen. So I like the Minnesota side. Greg, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the Cowboys cover. I'm gonna take the Cowboys to win. I'm thinking if that Dak is going to be able to go. I'm assuming that he is. And with that, I do think he makes that much of a difference, even if he is limited with the calf to get the Cowboys to win. On the Cowboys side, if Dak is going, I think he's still low on QB1 here. Zeke, you're playing him regardless. If that can't go, that's even a huge extra bump for him to be in like the RB1 category. They're going to use him a lot, and also use Tony Pollard most likely if it's Cooper Rush. And for the receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Mark Cooper, Dalton Schultz, the passing game will be with them if that can go. If obviously if he can't go, all those three guys get a slight downgrade, not a slight downgrade, a clear downgrade. And then on the Minnesota side, I like Captain Kirk here. Definitely as also in that QB1 territory. Dalvin Cook, if he's going, you're playing him RB1. Of course, the receivers also before this Dak news, I thought it was going to be kind of a shootout here. So I had like a lot of hope for everyone really to do pretty well in this game. Hopefully Dak can go.
Yeah, man, I definitely hope Dak can go because I like it for the game in general. But all right, man, let's move on to this last primetime game, this Monday night game. We got the 2-5 New York Giants traveling to Kansas City to take on the 3-4 Kansas City Chiefs. 52.5 point total. Chiefs are 10-point favorites. In terms of weather, there's a 25% chance of rain. Not really concerned about much wind in this game. In terms of injuries, Evan Ingram's questionable with the calf. He was a limited participant in practice. Sterling Shepard, he's dealing with that hamstring injury. He was limited. Correct me if I'm wrong, Greg. Did Sterling Shepard play 2 weeks ago and
he did
not play last week?
Yeah, he played. He came back, played, then got re-aggravated it, then didn't play. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney, he was limited on Friday with the ankles.
Back at practice though. Ooh.
Looking like play. We just gotta. That one's tough because they play on Monday night, so it's like you gotta kind of set your lineup, and you probably won't have enough information. I think I'm like I have a league where, a few leagues, but I have a situation where I got Kadarius Toney on the bench, and basically what happened, depending on what happens in those 1 o'clock games and what I need, like I got Alex Collins sitting in a flex, I might just pull that switcheroo.
Yeah, man.
Depending on what happens. But we'll see as we get more information. It's definitely a situation to monitor. Kenny Galladay, he was a DNP, so it looks like he might be out. Saquon Barkley, also a DNP. Linebacker Carter Coughlin is questionable. And then safety, do it all for the New York Giants defense, Jabril Peppers. He ends up on IR with an ankle and a knee injury. So definitely hope that he gets better soon. But Greg, where are you at with this matchup here?
I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the Giants to cover, but I'm going to take the Chiefs to win. On the Giants side, I do like Daniel Jones in this matchup. He did bounce back slightly last week. They were able to get that win, even though it was a super ugly game. I think he continues to ride that momentum to get you the numbers he was getting in the start of the season. So he's in that mid-tier, QB2 territory, but some QB1 upside. Mahomes, on the running backs, Devontae Booker, also like him as well. Pretty much like this entire offense, whoever can step on the field. It's just a matter of who's going to be able to play. Kadarius Toney, he was limited back to practice. I think they give it a go here with him. I think they do need him in the receiving game, especially if Sterling can't go, if he's questionable. So if Kadarius is able to play, he's the only one I feel like if you're on the fence with anyone, you just fire him up. Like you just take that risk because this boy is special. And on the Chiefs side, Mahomes, think he's in the ultimate bounce back spot here. He had this worst game arguably of his career last week. There's only up for him in this game. Darrell Williams, I love him in this matchup. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, of course, they're going to eat and be ones at their position.
Yeah, man, I'm going to take the under. I will take Kansas City to cover. Like this is such a crazy thing because like it's Kansas City, it's like 10 points,
right?
But I could totally see the Giants covering that 10. But I'm gonna just go with the under here. I'm gonna go with Kansas City to cover, Kansas City to win. On the Kansas City side, Darrell Williams, RB1 for me this week. I love this matchup for him. Patrick Mahomes, he's a quarterback one, but then we're at the point, man. I gotta stop giving him the benefit of the doubt, man. You gotta come in here. I'm gonna put it on the lower half of the quarterback one territory. I understand that you'll probably turn it around, especially because I said what I said just now, and you'll maybe come in here on Monday with egg on my face. So it's cool, man. I appreciate it. But Tyreek Hill, a wide receiver one. Travis Kelce, also a tight end one. I do have Miko Harmon as a potential top 30 play this week at wide receiver, just based on targets that he's received over the last few weeks and his usage and the matchup here. So he ends up as a top 30 play. On the Giants side, Daniel Jones definitely a quarterback one. He's played well outside of just one game, and that was
Right.
against the Rams. So I like him to play well this week, be a quarterback one. Devontae Booker continuing to, assuming Saquon Barkley doesn't play, the matchup here is good, and I think Devontae Booker could end up as a top 24 play, which is pretty much what he's been since taking over. And then Kadarius Toney. I've got him right now as a wide receiver 3, but that's even just like not really knowing if he's going to play. If I know he's going to play, you assume he's going to see a bulk of those targets. He'll definitely end up in wide receiver 2 or better territory for sure. And then Evan Ingram, I like the matchup this week. Has 14.5% of the team targets. He's my tight end stream of the week. Yeah, I'm very, very much into Evan Ingram this week. But that's where it stops for me.
Yeah, word.
All right, man. Let's jump into this money time, man. These starts to the week, man. Gotta get it right. So,
Yes, sir.
Greg, I'm gonna start with you, man. Who's your quarterback start of the week this week?
Yeah, this is actually just a confidence booster. Obviously, to go with what you said. Mahomes heard that, man, and so he's definitely gonna go off in this matchup. I'm gonna go with Pat Mahomes versus the Giants. Whoever thought he'd be in start of the week territory, that means he had to have a bad week. Gets his bounce back against the Giants at home. Their favorites. I think it'll be a little competitive as I have the Giants covering. But I think he, just simplifies the game more. That's really what he needs to do. Not do anything crazy. Just take what the defense gives him, which is still could be 10, 15, 20-yard plays.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I just even feel bad for doing this one, but I don't. I actually, honestly, don't feel that bad, and you'll hear why. Josh Allen is my quarterback start of the week. Obviously, he's going to be in your lineups, but
Yes,
this one
sir.
is about him being the number one guy on the week.
Mhm.
By my math, by my calculations, he should lap the field here in fantasy points, and so I'm calling my shot here against this Miami defense that's given up 24.5 points per game the last 3 weeks. That's the third most during that time. Josh Allen himself has averaged 28.4 during that same time span. Really like Josh Allen this week. Like I said, I know he's going to be in your lineups, but super fire him up this week.
Yeah, definitely love that. Josh Allen's going to destroy.
Greg, your running back start of the week, man. What do you got?
I'm going to go with James Robinson versus Seattle. I have Jags covering, so I think James Robinson is going to be the main guy to make that happen. Over the last 3 games, he's getting almost 18 carries per game, averaging about 100, right at 100 yards per game. So he's really been running the ball very well, especially after those first couple of weeks where he wasn't getting any volume. He's getting the volume. He's getting the good play with this good matchups. Again, Seattle's giving up over 100 yards to rushing to running backs. So the matchup is very good here, and just the spot is good for Robinson to take over and get this win.
I love that one, man. He definitely was in consideration for me as a running back start of the week. I think he's a top 10 play this week. I'm going with a confidence booster as well as calling for an upward spike in trajectory here for somebody, and that is Antonio Gibson. AG, he's healthy this week. The matchup is good. I know the last 3 weeks have been terrible. He's the RB35 in that time. He's averaged just almost 15 rush attempts, 51 yards, 3.5 yards per carry there. It has not been great, but like I said, not on the injury report this week, and the matchup is good. I think the opportunities are going to be there for a big day against the Denver defense that's given up the third most PPR points to running backs over the last 3 weeks. Washington is limited in terms of options in the pass game. That should mean more touches, for a healthier Antonio Gibson. So I'm not calling for a top 5 finish, but I think that he'll probably have one of his better games since we drafted him this season this week. So fire AG up.
Yeah, we'll definitely love that for sure.
Greg, what about your wide receiver start of the week, man?
I'm gonna go with the bounce back for mostly tied to Sam Darnold. DJ Moore gets it done going against Atlanta, coming off 10 targets in his last game, had 13 targets before that as well. So the target number is only going up. The snap share is also only going up. He's just going to have to dominate in this game for the Cardinals to get this win against Atlanta and keep pace and points. And the matchup is also very good. Atlanta giving up over 150 yards to receivers, almost 2 touchdowns to receivers per game. So yeah, I do like the matchup for sure in this thing, and DJ Moore is going to have to get it done.
Nah, man, I like that one. My wide receiver start of the week, I gotta get a little stack here, but it's not the stack you might think it is. Emmanuel Sanders, of course, everyone's going to start Stephon Diggs for sure.
Yep.
But Emmanuel Sanders, he's been so good, and he should continue to do well in this wonderful matchup against the Dolphins. He's second on the team in terms of target share. He's averaging, over the last 3 weeks, he's averaging almost 17 yards per reception. He's got a 68% catch rate during that time span. Start this man up.
Yes, sir.
Greg, what about your tight end start of the week?
I'm going with Tyler Higbee going against Houston. Just the positive regression of him getting all those red zone targets. Only 2 touchdowns on the year. Houston tied for giving up the most touchdowns to the tight end position. Just it's going to be a blowout. I think everyone eats in this matchup, including Tyler Higbee. So yeah, he's been mentioned as a start of the week a lot of weeks this year. So yeah, I think he keeps rolling.
No, correction. He's been brought up a lot of times. He was my start of the week one time, and then one time start of the week, he did not come through for me, and so me and him have a little thing going on.
Come off a season high, 8 targets last week. So
I get it. Higbee's been great. Especially I did not like Higbee coming into the year, but he's been great. Just me and him, we got a little something going. We got a little beef because of that start of the week. That we had, but. You know what? Maybe you and Higbee have a much better relationship than I do. You don't call him out nearly as much as I do. So I definitely feel like he comes through for you this week. Somebody I definitely have called out before. So we'll see if they come through for me this week. My tight end start of the week, Hunter Henry. It's a revenge game, which we know Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, they're not going to take that lightly. No. And oh my, is the matchup nice. The LA Chargers have given up the 4th most fantasy points to the tight end position over these last 3 weeks. And the Chargers on the season allow 24% of their opponents' targets to go to the tight end position. That's 5th in the league. I think the stars align for a top 5 finish here for Hunter Henry.
Yeah, definitely like Hunter Henry. He's just been pretty much separating himself from Jonnu Smith, making Jonnu Smith that blocking tight end. So, yeah, I like Hunter Henry.
Definitely, man. And now we got to play some get money.
Greg, yes, sir.
Feel like you got first pick last week. I remember that vividly because it hurt me. So I'm actually going to take the first pick here, and I'm going to go with let's see, who's the slate breaker?
Ooh.
Who's the slate breaker? It's the main slate, so there's no Monday Night Football. I'm gonna take I'm gonna go Cooper Kupp 9,200. Let's just throw it in there.
Yeah, it's worth the price for sure.
It is totally worth it.
I'm gonna go Stephon Diggs as my wide receiver in that Buffalo game. 7,300.
That's fine. I'm gonna go Josh Allen 8,800 as my quarterback.
Word. As my first running back, I'm gonna take James Robinson, my running back start of the week, 8,200, going against Seattle.
For my first running back, I'm actually gonna go DeAndre Swift, 7,900, going up against Philly.
Oh man. I'm gonna go with my RB2. I'm gonna go with Chuba Hubbard, 6,600, going against Atlanta.
All right. With my second wide receiver, I'm actually going to go Emmanuel Sanders, 6,700, my wide receiver start of the week there.
Love that. I'm going to go as my second wide receiver, DJ Moore, my wide receiver start of the week, 7,700. in that matchup with Atlanta as well.
I feel much better because I don't feel like we're competing for the same players right now.
Yeah, there's nothing. It's all gonna be different.
Nice. I'm gonna just lock in my defense now. Buffalo 4,700.
Fair. Gonna take as my third receiver, Cortland Sutton, 7,100, going against Washington. Just love attacking Washington every week.
That's a really good one. I'm gonna put him in my flex, but he's really my number 2 running back based on timing and whatnot. But Antonio Gibson, my running back start of the week, 6,200.
Yeah, at my tight end. I'm gonna take Tyler Higbee, my tight end start of the week. He's at 5,300. Excellent matchup here.
Yeah, for let's see, only got 2 spots left to do this. For my third running back or my second running back, I'm gonna go with Myles Gaskin, 5,700, going up against Buffalo.
The gas man, like that for sure. Quarterback, I'm gonna go Hurts season, Jalen Hurts, 8,400 in that also Philly Detroit game. Gotta get some action in there.
I knew that you would do that, which is fine. So I was like, all right, well, if he steals Josh Allen, I'll just save $400 and I'll go to Jalen Hurts. For my last wide receiver spot, this one sounds a little crazy. I'm going with Jamal Agnew of Seattle of Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, yep.
Seattle for 5,300.
Yeah, I like that for sure. And I'm for my flex reaching deep in the bag because I need some money. Samaje Perine, 5,700 in that Jets game. Hoping he gets in that end zone here.
Yeah, definitely like that one. For my last pick, my tight end start of the week is Hunter Henry, so he gets this tight end spot, 5,500. No money left. Drop the mic.
Ooh, I also have no money. I'm taking the Bears, 3,700 as my my stream of the week, and taking their defense as well. Hopefully, they can get some sacks. Yeah, $0. Yo.
All right, well, so I'm gonna read off this lineup. Josh Allen, 8,800. Quarterback Myles Gaskin, running back 5,700. DeAndre Swift 7,900. At wide receiver, I got Cooper Kupp 9,200. Wide receiver 2 is Emmanuel Sanders 6,700. My wide receiver 3, Jamal Agnew 5,300. Hunter Henry's my tight end for 5,500. Antonio Gibson gets my flex spot at 6,200. And Buffalo Bills defense for 4,700.
Word. For my lineup, I have Jalen Hurts at quarterback, 8,400. James Robinson as my RB1 at 8,200. Chuba Hubbard at my RB2 at 6,600. DJ Moore, wide receiver 1 at 7,700. Stephon Diggs as my second wide receiver, 7,300. Cortland Sutton, 7,100 as my wide receiver 3. Tyler Higbee at tight end for 5,300. And then at my flex, got Samaje Perine at 5,700 as well. And lastly, the Bears, 3,700 defense.
Oh man, this one's gonna be interesting for sure.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, I can close the gap here, but who knows? Apparently, Greg is my kryptonite in this game of get money. So, all right, let's wrap it up, man. It's week 8, Halloween. I know, Greg, you have some trick or treating to do, so we don't want to hold you up.
Wait, it's early too. I gotta get back before bedtime. Chill.
With that being said, everybody, good luck this week. Be safe, y'all. We appreciate y'all for vibing with us every week, man. So, we'll catch y'all next week for the week 8 recap. But until next time, y'all, we are out of here. Peace.